Dear students of the postcolonial literature and my audience worldwide, a very warm good morning from Pakistan. On my side, a very warm greeting of the Happy New Year 2021 as well. As usual, this video is again being recorded in order to make my students more familiar with the postcolonial nature of literature and to let them know what is happening in this regard in the other parts of the world. Not only literature, which is called post-colonial, is relevant to the South Asia, but also to Africa and many other parts of the world. So here's a poem from Soyinka, Wole Soyinka, Civilian and Soldier. That's the poem which we need to discuss today in this present video. So let's proceed. As the title of the poem goes to say, Civilian and Soldier, it shows that it's a type of comparison, conflict, or a kind of analogy between two groups of the society. One is the group represented by soldier, other group is the civilian. Soldier is the power group, civilian is not that powerful, though ideally speaking, civilian should have more power. But the gun power is kept and held and used by the soldier, and sometimes the same power can be used on the same civilians who have developed the power of the soldier. So let us see what actually the poem is about. It's written by Wole Soyinka, and here is the introduction of Wole Soyinka. Part 1. A Nigerian playwright. He is from Nigeria, of course, and a dramatist and a poet. He's a teacher, he's a political activist, and the author as well. In 1986, he received Nobel Prize for Literature, so it means that he's really a great contributor towards literature in every genre, and that's why he receives Nobel Prize. He was born in 1934 in Abeokuta near Ibadan in Nigeria and was educated in University of Leeds in England. He worked as the editor of the school's magazine titled as The Eagle. So from the very beginning, not only he was a person who wanted to become a writer, got the highest possible education, but also he was a literary kind of person, and that is why in his studying age he was editing the magazine The Eagle. In 1950, Soyinka wrote many dramas, for example, A Dance of the Forest, and in that way he was able to satirize and to put some irony in the sentences of irony on the political elite of Nigeria. So it means that Wole Soyinka is not just a common typewriter just highlighting a few issues, but rather he's speaking politically, and in that way he becomes a true writer of the post-colonial theory and literature. Part 2 has some more points of importance about Wole Soyinka. Number one is that he wrote and created rather a theatre company under two names. One is the Mass, another one is the Horizon. He has been working as visiting professor as well in England, University of Cambridge, Sheffield, and Yale. Soyinka also became a political activist in 1967 and so was arrested also, remained in prison for 22 months in 1969. Not only drama and poetry, he wrote some of the novels as well. For example, Interpreters, Seasons of Anomy, and then autobiographical work included The Man Died, Prison Notes, and then gripping accounts of the person experience and so many other like African Word and the collection of some literary essays. That was a huge collection of the writing by Wole Soyinka. Here comes the poem. I have divided the poem into different parts so that we can have a good understanding of the poem. And the first part says, My apparition rose from the fall of lead, declared I'm a civilian, it only served to aggravate your fright. For how could I have risen, a being of this world, in that hour of imperial death? And I thought also, nor is your curd of this world. Now, this is the introduction of the poem, where the dead man is himself speaking. He says that his apparition, his soul, when he was just about to die because of the fire and the bullet of the soldier at that time, his soul got up, and that soul started to address the soldier by saying, I am a civilian. I am the part of the same country from where you belong to. And this thing, according to the soul, says that the soldier got even more frightened and he tried to hit him with his bullet as much as possible. But the soul asked the question, what was the reason that the soul came forward in order to realize the soldier that he was a civilian? He was not a soldier to fight with or to compete with the soldier, but rather was a civilian, and the civilian was supposed to be defended and protected by the army men rather than to be shot by. But this had been happening all over the world. Every one of us knows that sometime the soldiers of the same country fire bullets on their own people because of the orders of the authority. And in that way, one part of the country becomes the enemy of the other part of the country. And the soul is very kind, very naive, very, loving country type of soul. It says that, and it says that the fault of the soldier may not be there because it was not his quarrel which the soldier was fighting, it was the quarrel of the authority which has come on you. So, in this way, we are being shown that the soldier may be harsh, may be unkind, but the apparition of the civilian is very much kind. So, as a result, the difference between the soldiers and the civilian is also being pointed out that civilians may be, because of the orders, maybe because of their training, harsh on the civilians, but the civilians continue to be loving and kind towards the soldiers of their country. Same is the case with part 2 here. You stood still for both eternities, and oh, I heard the lesson of your training session, cautioning, scorch earth behind you, do not leave a dubious neutral to the rear. Reiteration of my civilian quandary, borrowing earth from the lead festival of your more eager friends. Work the words on your confusion, and when you brought the gun to bear on me, and death twisted me gently in the eye, your plight and all of you came clear to me. The soul continues to say, and trying to understand why the soldier has killed him. The soul says that he was understanding that the training of the soldier is like that the soldier has to be very much cautious and he needs to take care of his back place and the front place as well in order to not to leave anything which may be dangerous or which may be doubtful. And as a result, even when the soul reiterated that he was a civilian, he didn't deserve to be killed, even that the bullet was done because of the training of the soldier. And in the same way, many things keep on happening, although the soldier and the civilian should have been friends with each other, but because of the confusion, both became the enemy of each other. And first, the soldier hit the civilian, and as a result, the civilian says that when he was just about to die, at that very time, he understood what is the problem with the soldier, and that is why he's blaming the training of the soldier. He's not saying any blame on the soldier. He is rather trying to say that it was not the soldier responsible for his death, but it was rather his training, his authority, his people, or the people guide to him. That is why he had hit him and he had killed him, and his soul is talking now. In the third part and the last part of the poem, civilian soul continues to talk in the same tone. But here, something different has been portrayed in the ending of the poem when the poet says, I hope someday, intent upon my trade of living to be checked, insert right by your apparition in a trench, signaling I am a soldier. So the civilian says that one day is going to come on the soldier as well, that he will be killed, and his soul will also get up in the same way as his soul has got up, and the same soul will say, I am a soldier. No hesitation then, but I shall shoot you clean and fair. He says that if he were the soldier, at that time he would not kill him in that way as the soldier has killed the civilian. He says he will try to feed by giving meat and bread, by giving wine to him, by giving everything, whatever that soldier would need. And as a result, ultimately, the question would come, do you, friend, even now know what is it all about? And the soul, however, will put a question that why this killing is going on, what is the matter with that, and because of which these things are occurring, what is the reason behind that. But the clear cut difference between the soldier and civilian has been pointed out that if the civilian gets the same authority, he would not kill the soldier, he would rather provide him everything. And it is a kind of complaint as well that this is the same civilian whose hard work, whose growth, whose whose initiation of the loyalty of the country has given birth to the soldier, has given birth to the army. But the same army and the same soldier has hit him. This thing is problematic. This thing is sorrowful. And this very thing has been pointed out by Wole in his poem here, Civilian and the Soldier. Well, the poem ends. Let's have some of the discussion, more discussion on that. The poem, on the one hand, represents the soldier's dilemma. whether the soldier should come forward in order to kill the civilian or he should stop. Because the soldier is also the part of the same society, but he needs to obey the orders. He needs to follow his training, and that is why sometimes the soldiers fall under the dilemma. But they grow brutal as well because of certain other factors also, not because of only their training, but also because of frequent killing and frequent firing. They grow brutal as well. The teaching and training, therefore, of a soldier should be done in such a way that he may not be killing the civilians without cause, that he may be fighting with the other soldiers, he may be fighting the power, but he may not be fighting the innocent civilians. The hesitation of the soldier goes to represent that he understands he is also the part of the same society and he has not to fire at a civilian, but still he is bound to obey his orders. Civilians point out to the sacrifice that not only they sacrifice because of their provision to the army, but also they sacrifice their life sometime so that the training of the soldiers may not be missed. They may not grow dubious, they may not grow dilematical, they may not try to be the people who are suffering in the confusion. Rather, they let them do by sacrificing their lives also. So the poem is very simple, relating to us the problem of the soldier and the problem of the civilian, and it also goes to teach a lot of lesson to the army man that how he should behave, what kind of training he needs, and what kind of moral and ethical code he needs to follow, especially at the time when he faces his own people. But it's also a bit of reality that when the matter of power comes there, the powerful authority would order the soldiers to kill their own people, and as a result, if they don't kill, they become disobedient to their authority, and if they kill, they become brutal towards their own people, and that's the bitter reality. So, in that way, in the poem, the human divide becomes very clear. One type of human are powerful, they are trained to kill anything, and they can. On the other part, we have the civilian who are very innocent, very naive type of people as far as the killing thing is concerned. They would even provide from their own life to the soldiers to maintain them, but they will expect to give some type of sacrifice as well. Ultimately, the reconciliation between the two sections of the society comes at that time when death comes, because the death would also come to the soldier, death would also come to the civilian, and so the civilian may be at that time able to ask, able to join hands with the soldier's soul, and both the souls will be together in the same position, and so they can become one only after death. They cannot become one during their life. However, they should have been one. So, in that way, on the whole, the poem goes to represent the thing which is the bitterness of the war, which is the conflicting and confusing situations of the war, and which goes to reflect the unneeded and uneventful deaths of the civilians at the hand of the cruel soldiers of the same country or that of the other country. So it's a kind of plight, it's a kind of instruction, it's a kind of moral or ethical lesson by the poet that how the armies should behave, how the civilians should behave, and how much good can be brought by giving a good training to the armed man rather than giving him only the training to kill his own people. Okay, that's it from me about this poem. It has ended altogether. So we have covered three parts of the poem. There are no technicalities in the poem. We don't find any confusions and complexions in the poem because there's no rhyme scheme. The lines of the poem are quite simple and they are conveying a type of lesson. We cannot find so many there, the kind of stylistic devices used. Just the simple language of the poem has been used in order to convey the lesson and the moral of the poem to us. It's a type of monologue as well, and for the monologue, the speaker is civilian who is speaking and is narrating the story of the soldier as well, and ultimately hoping and taking the life towards the end where the death will unite them all. And also, it's a depiction of the societies where constant fighting is going on, and as a result of that, not only soldiers are being killed, there are the people, civilians, who are also killed, not only because of the bullets, but also because of the hunger and because of the other troubles which happen because of war. So it's a cry from the part of the poet that these things should stop, peace should be restored, and the war should be closed. Thank you very much for watching this. Hopefully, to see you in some next video sometime, and trying to make a type of communication with you people in next video. Thank you for watching this, and that's it from me for this day.